Hello, welcome back everyone, and today I have for you a video on every challenge fight that led to somebody or some buddies being removed from the challenge house and being DQ'd for the game. Now what I mean by fight, I mean is that these people were in a physical altercation, putting their hands on somebody else and trying to bring harm or brought harm to somebody, and it led to their removal from the game. Now I didn't count the quote-unquote fight that happened in Challenge 2000 between Los and Piggy. I didn't count Jordan and Naya in Battle of the Exes 2, as Naya was deemed to be inappropriately touching Jordan's crotchal region, insinuating that he had different genitalia than what we assumed Jordan to have. I didn't count Tony and Camilla in Rivals 3, as that was not a fight, and I didn't count War of the Worlds 2 between Turbo and Jordan, as they just had very strong verbal arguments with one another that led to Turbo being removed from the house. And we're gonna start off with the first ever physical altercation that led to disqualification, and that was in season 4 of the Extreme Challenge season in episode 6 between Ayane and Christian. This episode started off with Ayane confiding in Christian about how she had lost her mother to breast cancer. It happened very recently and she was devastated by this in the beginning of this episode. And then later that night, everyone went out to the bar to have a good time, to drink, except for Ayane, who stayed back in the buses. She did not want to go out. Everybody didn't come back onto the bus until 5 a.m. and they were super loud, and that's when Christian said the N-word to Laterian, and that's when Laterian reprimanded Christian for what he had said and said that you can't joke around like that, don't ever say that ever again. Ayane heard what had happened. She got up from her bunk, got into Christian's face. Now this was all off camera, so everybody gave their account of what happened, and that's when they said that both people were in each other's faces, kind of getting heated, and that's when Ayane had kicked and pushed Christian in the bus. And so producers decided that Ayane could not stay on this challenge season and was removed from the game. The next physical altercation that led to a DQ happened in season 9 called Battle of the Sexes 2, where in episode 13, Steven slapped Shane. Now what happened was in season 13, they were going into a daily challenge where they were gonna do like human boggle, where they were gonna spray paint letters onto their bodies, and then they were gonna have to make as many words as they can to see how many points they could get. Johnny Mosley told everybody that they had to be completely silent heading into the beginning of this game. So if anybody was gonna talk, they were gonna forfeit that daily challenge. And so during that time of silence, Steven decided to do all these like erratic, eccentric hand motions to his team, and his whole team was getting pissed at him. Shane was specifically pissed because if they were gonna lose, he felt as though he was going to be voted off of the season. Once everybody was able to talk, that's when everybody was yelling at Steven for what he was doing, especially Shane, which led Steven into slapping Shane. Producers saw it, told Johnny to get back on that stage, and Steven was DQ'd from the challenge right then and there, sent straight home. The next physical altercation happened in season 13 called The Duel, where Tina was DQ'd for punching Beth in the face. Now this is coming off of the tail end of another iconic challenge moment where DM took off her wig for the first time in front of everybody heading into the ring toss daily challenge, and it was very inspiring, it was very moving. However, that moment had passed really quickly as Tina and Beth got into a heated argument right then and there, got into each other's faces. Beth baited Tina to punch her in the face, and like a shark in chummy water, that's when Tina took her shot and punched Beth right in the face, getting her right near the eye, and Tina was automatically DQ'd from the game. It cost her $150,000, but Tina said it was worth it. The next season, in season 14, Inferno 3, CT punched Davis and got him DQ'd from the game, and that was because all in night 1, CT had one too many to drink, or 1 through 6 many to drink, and him and Kenny got into wrestling matches, which resulted in CT getting a bloody nose, almost coming to blows with his teammate Kenny. And then later on in that night, Davis was walking past CT, and CT was like, "Hey, Davis, do you think you could take a punch to the face?" Davis, probably thinking that this was just a survey CT was taking to anybody who was walking across him, or possibly maybe it was a hypothetical, said, "Yes, I think I could take a punch," which in CT's mind heard, "Hey, yes, I will let you punch me, CT." And that's when CT cocked back, punched Davis in the face. we did not see any of this happen on screen. What we did see was Davis running into the bathroom, confiding in Johnny Bananas that, hey, CT punched me in the face for no reason. Producers found CT in his bed, blacked out, had no idea what he did that whole night, and producers said, hey, you got into a physical altercation, you punched Davis, and now you're being DQ'd from the game. And CT was pissed that he was being targeted, because why would he punch Davis in the face? This is all just a ploy to get him out of the game, because nobody wants to go up against him in the Inferno games. That's not exactly how it went. The next time we got into a physical altercation was in the Duel 2 Season 17 between CT and Adam. Now, this is one of the most iconic challenge moments in the show's history. And for a little context leading into this moment, during the off season, heading into this season, CT's brother was murdered, and CT was still dealing with that. It was very recent, and it was still fresh heading into the season. And then also during the off season, DM had broken up with CT. So needless to say, CT was at really the rock bottom of his life and challenge career at this moment. So on night one, he got really drunk, was kind of being angry and belligerent to everybody. He had hooked up with Siobhan during that night, and then he saw Adam and DM talking with one another. Now, while they're talking, he's thinking, oh, Adam hates me. He's gonna tell DM that I hooked up with Siobhan, and that got CT's blood boiling. So while they were getting into each other's faces in a very enclosed room with a lot of people, that's when CT and Adam were going at it. Adam kind of pushed or punched CT's stomach and then poured a drink over CT's head, and that's when CT lost it and just absolutely throws a huge right hook to Adam's face, throwing him to the ground. And then both guys got a few good punches in. People were trying to hold CT back. CT was punching doors, ripping up furniture, finally gets outside with Adam and gets into more fights with Adam. It was absolutely insane to go back and watch that clip. Horrific moments that you think that CT was actually gonna murder Adam. And to quote CT's most famous quote on the challenge ever, he wanted to smash his head in and eat it. It led to both men being DQ'd from that season on night one, and then later on they were going to be put together on the same team of rivals. The next physical altercations that happened came the next season, season 18, called The Ruins, where in episode 4, Tanya and Veronica, after a night of drinking, got into a heated argument, and Tanya decided to slap the crap out of Veronica over and over again until Wes and the guys decided to split them up. Tanya was DQ'd for that, and then later on in that season, in episode 8, that's when Brad got in belligerent drunk and decided he wanted to start a fight with some of the guys in the house. He decided to pick Duel, who is a trained boxer, and Duel was keeping his cool for the longest time until Brad actually got into his face, put his hands on Duel, and then Duel kept pushing Brad back until he fell to the ground, and that's when he just kept on dropping bombs on Brad's face and his eye specifically. Brad's eye was gushing blood. It was like the size of a softball. It was absolutely horrific. Producers had to get involved and told that the two guys were going to be taken out of this season, ruining Duel's winning streak of the challenge, as he came in as a 4-time challenge champ in 4 seasons. And no lie, Duel was on a very stacked champs team that he was going to get his 5th challenge win easily in a row, and it got ruined because he got into a fight with Brad. The next fight came on season 21 called Rivals, where on night 1 everyone was drinking, doing their thing, when Adam R., who was a rookie whose teammate was Leroy at the time, disliked how Ty was handling himself. Ty was drunk and he decided to start roasting everybody, but they weren't witty at all. He just was like, hey, Laurel, you got long legs and you got cellulite, boom, you're roasted. And Adam R. hated it. He hated Ty and he wanted to fight him. And they were gonna get into a fight really early on in that episode, and then everybody was able to pull them apart, and that's when Leroy was trying to tell Ty, hey, you need to cool it down. And Ty started to get into a bit of a fight with Leroy, or was trying to start a fight with Leroy, which Adam R. could see what was happening. He got pissed about it. He finally ripped himself away from everybody. He was charging at Ty, which he hit Mandy, who was an innocent bystander. She fell to the ground hard. He got to Ty and started throwing punches. Ty's way, and that led to Adam R being sent out of the house, and we never saw Adam R again. Then we get into Dirty 30, where we had 2 physical altercations that happened that season, where Shane and Simone were sent home from the Redemption House. Now, Simone was asking both Shane and LaToya if they would put her hair lotion in her hair into her scalp. Both said no. Simone kind of got rubbed the wrong way and decided to kind of confide her frustrations with both Devin and Amanda, and Shane was like listening in on the conversation. An hour later, that's when all the fights started, and this happened off camera, but everybody gave their account of what happened, and that's when Simone and Shane got into each other's faces. Shane says that Simone grabbed his face with her nails, and Shane was being physical with Simone for sure, and that's when Devin got involved, was holding Shane back, and that's when Shane bit Devin really hard in his arm. It led to both Shane and Simone being sent off, and then later on in that season, that's when Nelson in episode 8 came back from a night on the town drinking. He was talking trash to Hunter, saying that they're going to run this game, take out all the oldies. Derek is sitting out there, who was considered an oldie on that season. He's sitting on the balcony, like, asks a question out loud to Nelson, which Nelson deems is like, you shouldn't have asked me that. They got into each other's faces. Nelson pushes Derek. Derek's not one to back down, so he gets right into Nelson's face, and that's when Nelson puts his hand in Derek's face and pushes him away, leading to both guys being separated. Nelson is taken out of the house, sent to a hotel to go get sober, but the next day, TJ comes out to everybody and says, hey, yo, Nelson is gone. He is being DQ'd for putting his hands on Derek. And finally, we had 2 more altercations that happened, and the final 2 altercations happened in Final Reckoning. On night 1, Melissa and Kailah got into a physical altercation. Now, this happened in Vendettas, and I know Melissa didn't really stay long in Vendettas, but during the reunion and on Twitter and all the social medias, she came out and said that, hey, Kailah was making out with a whole bunch of guys in the challenge house. She was unfaithful to her boyfriend who was outside of the challenge house. Kailah detested and denied every single allegation that Melissa had said. So leading into Final Reckoning, there was just bad blood and a feud between the two. Now, Melissa tried to bury the hatchet between the two, albeit rather aggressively. It led to a very heated argument between the 2 women. They got into each other's faces and put hands on each other. They started getting into a physical roughhousing. They were separated. Then TJ the next day came out and said that, hey, both Kailah and Melissa were taken out of this game and that their partners were going to be put together. And then really later on in this season, like episode 16, the infamous Pastagate happened between Tony and Cory, where they went out drinking, having a good time, eating food. Cory had his leftovers on the bus, and a drunk Tony took his leftovers, threw it out the bus window. Cory was pissed. Devin, his partner, tried to calm him down, but that's when Tony decided to instigate and poke the bear a little bit more and put his arm around Cory, and Cory was out of line when he put his leg behind Tony's and dropped him on his shoulder, neck, and head area. And it could have been really bad. Tony could have sustained terrible injuries, like maybe even life-altering injuries. Luckily, that didn't happen. But because of the physicalness that happened between the 2 men, they were taken out to the hotels. Tony was able to come back into the game, but Cory was not, as he was DQ'd. And then Devin was DQ'd because of that. And that was all the physical altercations and fights that happened that led to people being DQ'd in challenge history. What do you think about that list? Let me know that in the comments section below. Which one that stands out the most in your brain? Is it the CT versus Adam in the Duel 2? Is it the Pastagate that happened between Cory and Tony? Let me know that in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really soon with more challenge content, brief histories, top 10s, top 5s, fantasy casts, and much more. And also join me on Thursdays for a challenge review and recaps and Survivor review and recaps. But until then, peace.